Hey, John Lamberton here. Thanks for tuning in. Today we're talking about supplement stacks as sigils. Don't know what a sigil is? Check out my previous video on my sigil algorithm. And if you do know what a sigil is, then let's get into it. Basically, I'm going to try to put supplements and things like nootropics and all that into a magical lens via sigils. And before I get into it, let me just give you a sense of how I started thinking about this. So I recently rewatched the movie Night at the Roxbury. This is the 90s comedy movie with Chris Kattan, Will Ferrell, playing these kind of hopeless New York party boys. They're socially inept. They get in their own way, etc., etc. Very funny movie. I suggest rewatching it if you haven't seen it in a while. The soundtrack is great. The physical humor is pretty satisfactory. But maybe my favorite part, just being who I am, is seeing this hilarious snapshot into supplement culture from the time. So, what I mean by this is that they're always talking about protein shakes. They have like bottles of supplements everywhere. And, honestly, this sort of window isn't showing anything that much different from today. So this can be verified by just going to any subreddit that's related to supplements, such as our supplements, and seeing wild lists of ingredients that people take, and then everybody disagreeing over what you're supposed to take. And, one of these sort of ways that people naysay, because there are plenty of naysayers, is to say, oh, that's not going to do anything. You aren't going to absorb that. You're just going to have expensive pee. So, expensive pee, it's implying by taking some sort of isolated mineral or vitamin or any sort of nutrient, instead of getting it from a whole food source like a vegetable or whatever, that you will have inadequate absorption, and thus your pee will be expensive because you paid for it. So pee should be free, right? So, I love the idea of people doing valuation of my urine just because it's hilarious. So please, if you want to do that, I invite you to do so. This made me think about supplements as sort of a form of placebomancy, if nothing else. So while I don't think that this is the case, let me just put forth a question to sort of explore this idea. So what if all the supplements, all the tinctures, all the tablets, all the pills, all that does nothing? Zilch. All the elixirs, all the boluses, all the concoctions, the potions, nothing, does nothing. Well, first of all, let's just face that this is an absurd idea, because you know what? Drinking water does something. Not drinking water does something. Not eating does something. There's always something happening. Of course, something is happening. Maybe, there are people that say, oh, my, fancy powder does this and that, and maybe it's exaggerated. Maybe they're spinning a story to make some money off of people who buy into it. But that's a different story. So for people that actually, look on a website like examine.com or find studies on PubMed or something, we're talking about that more. But let's say all the information on examine.com is a lie for some reason. Just this hypothetical thought experiment. If nothing else, there would be some sort of placebo effect. And of course, the placebo effect is a real thing. It's been studied plenty. And it's even been shown that you can just be aware of the placebo effect to get something from it. So you don't even necessarily have to take something. And to be honest, oftentimes I don't. I still have it there, which is an interesting curation of, compounds specifically for what I want to change in myself or who I want to be. Like maybe it's, something about bone density, or maybe it's something about, immunity. It's designing who you would like to be with some sort of compound that you take habitually. So what this reminds me of is basically like affirmations of some sort. So in the case that if somehow this were true, that all these powders did absolutely nothing, well, it could still be seen as a sort of symbolic gesture to oneself to orient themselves towards what they want to be. So they took the time to research it. They threw down the money to buy it. It's, I feel like, very much a way to affirm something about who they would like to be. So, I came across something that was maybe a bad example of this, that was a little bit grifty, to be honest, or a lot a bit grifty. And that was a pill that was basically I don't even know if there was anything in it. Maybe it's a sugar pill, which again is still going to affect you, even if it's a placebo. Sugar does affect you, but it's trying to take advantage of this sort of red pill, blue pill thing. And so the idea is that you will like take this and as a self-improvement pill, and it will help you conquer the day because it's taking advantage of the placebo effect. So while ultimately the idea I'm putting forth is on this same sort of spectrum, I feel like that's a sort of bad faith way to approach it. That's spinning some sort of story, which is its own sort of dark art. Something that's maybe a better example is, say, transcendental meditation, where I could explain transcendental meditation to you like right now in a few minutes, but are you going to go home and do it? Are you going to religiously do it twice a day for 20 minutes? Probably not, because you just heard about it from some guy on the internet. But if you pay $2,000, $3,000 for your special proprietary mantra that is in resonance with the universe and will help you achieve your goals and whatever, like, if you pay $3,000 for a set of words, you're going to do it. Like, it's making an investment, it's skin in the game. It ensures that you don't drop the ball and just not do it. And some of these practices are really easy. Like making sigils costs nothing really. Like it costs the cost of paper and ink. Similarly, to have something that's so expensive like a mantra that's immaterial for $2,000 to $3,000, that is its own kind of investment magic in itself, where the skin in the game means that you will value that more and you will actually make use of it. In this case, talking about supplements, we're talking not about a $2,000 investment. I mean, at least, some people on Reddit maybe are doing that. But for me, it's like if you spend $7 on some magnesium for the month, like that's a fairly minimal investment, but it's still something. So you're essentially using something like a sigil by habitually taking a set of compounds that you've curated based on who you want to be. So, you've researched something, you've decided who you want to be, you've decided that you want to bolster your immunity, you've decided that you want to, improve your like fatty acid mobilization, whatever. And so even in the case that somehow it theoretically is doing absolutely nothing, just giving you expensive urine, there's still a placebo effect going on and a sort of affirmation effect that I think helps one orient towards who they want to be. And I think there's value there. So this is just a sort of fun reflection that I wanted to share with y'all. If you have any sort of comments or questions, please just leave something in the comments. And yeah, thanks for watching.